suddenly there's just this boom. They just hit a flat surface and they are like, I can't move anymore. It's almost paralyzing. And
Mm.
any sense of joy, any sense of I want something spirited, it's muted now. And then just everything is heavier.
Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, the podcast where we debunk the eat less, move more, shrink more mentality and focus on what really matters, which includes your relationship with your body, food, self-worth, and the behaviors that align with all of those. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. At the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, we believe what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. So let's have a conversation about that. Before we get into today's amazing episode, I want to make sure you've hit that follow button wherever you're listening to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. Also, if you like to listen to this pod on the go, make sure you have those downloads turned on. As always, I love a 5-star rating and review, and I want to thank you for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. I am so excited you took this time out for yourself to learn something about your physical and mental health. And speaking of mental health, today we have Dr. Mona Amini. She is an innovative psychiatrist, wellness thought leader, and founder of Monv Mind Wellness, a concierge psychiatric practice in Scottsdale, Arizona. She brings deep clinical experience and a highly personalized, evidence-based approach to help high-achieving individuals navigate stress, burnout, anxiety, major life transitions, building resilience, clarity, and sustainable performance. Blending neuroscience with integrative strategies such as mindfulness, lifestyle medicine, and modern wellness innovation, she designs tailored care plans that treat the whole person, not just the symptoms. Beyond private practice, Dr. Amini is a sought-after speaker, consultant, and advisor to organizations advancing mental health in professional settings. A DJ and a creative at heart, she also champions the role of music, culture, and self-expression in emotional well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Mona. Yay! Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation. For those of you listening, Dr. Mona and I kind of work in the same group here in Phoenix and Scottsdale area. We know a lot of the same people, but we never actually got to sit down. So thank you for taking this time.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get into it, because I'm so excited to talk about, burnout and high achievers,
Mhm.
because a lot of my community is that person, mainly women is who we work with. But I want to know a little bit about your background and what inspired you to go into psychiatry and then build this more concierge type of service, because I find it so unique. So if you could just share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I went into med school knowing I wanted to be a psychiatrist, one of the very, very few. And it was not a cool or happening specialty back in the day. So I knew, though, really deep down that mental health and the impact of somebody's childhood and adolescence, and then what that looks like into adulthood, really means. And that really resonated with me. I love hearing the timelines, I loved hearing the stories.
Mhm.
And as adults, we have the capability to some way somehow almost like reverse things. We can learn new things, right? Old You can teach an old dog new tricks
Yes.
is my saying. So in that sense, I really, really enjoyed it. And over the course of the years in my professional career, I was going into spaces where it was more dialing into administrative roles, executive C-suite roles, because that's how I felt, at least back then with my naivety, that that's how you can make a change in the world.
Mhm.
And that's how we can change psychiatry and mental health and the teaching of that, so we can get people better, so we can help people just make a change for the better of their lives. And time after time after time, it was like, well, that wasn't right. That wasn't the role that was going to be the shifter to make the impact. And so 2.5 years ago, went on my own and set out on my journey because I felt that the traditional means were not really helping people. And it wasn't about psychotropics. It's not about this is clear cut, the treatment plan for every single person. We have to be customized. We need to be
Mhm.
individualized. and care. And that's why I set out on my own journey to create this concierge practice in North Scottsdale that was more on wellness. It was more, if we need to talk about supplements, if we need to talk about things to help your energy level, to help your practice, like building boundaries and talking about sex and talking about the things that maybe people weren't really keen on discussing with you before. And most of my patients and I, we work on things through a therapeutic level. And
Hmm.
it's, blending in some coaching involved in that. Like, where do you want your mindset to be? Where can we help the high achievers, especially, get to a practice where they're happy with their life and their profession, but also happy at home, also happy with their children and their family units.
I love it.
And it's created an amazing space for that so far.
I absolutely love that. It's so unique. And just hearing you talk about it, I think you bring a sense of compassion that you really care about people's results. Because,
Yeah.
not to knock on psychiatry, but as a therapist, you and I both know there are people out there that just push medication and aren't
Yeah.
really looking at the root cause to why individuals end up, whatever it is they're presenting to us, like whatever the struggles are, like how did they get there? It's more symptom focus, and you
Yes.
focus very much not only on the person in front of you, but also it sounds like the systems around them and how
Right.
to empower them to manage the systems around them so that their relationships, their work, and then
Hmm.
obviously their relationship with themselves is good. And I think that's so important. And a lot of providers miss that our minds and our bodies are connected.
Absolutely.
And you absolutely, it sounds like that's a major focus of what you do. I
It
love that.
is. It is. And that to me is the only way you can shape the rest of your life and really make that impact and improve it in that sense. It's not going to be a miracle drug. It's not
Hmm.
going to be a slew of drugs that will change that. What difference can we make now that will help you over time? It's not going to be a quick fix. We have to create some habitual changes and change your performance and change some strategies that
Hmm.
may resonate or may not resonate with individuals because I'm
Right.
not that traditional provider that is going to say, oh, you're struggling with sleep. Let me give you something for that.
Oh,
Instead, I'm saying, grab your wearable. Let's get the data from that. How much deep sleep are you getting? How many times are you waking up? Give me the statistics. Give me the true objective sense of
mhm.
what the outlook is over the last 2 weeks, and let's work on it that way. And we'll dial it right in.
That's so amazing. Well, and it's like a lot of the individuals we work with, they're high
Right,
performers. And for them, you know, throughout their lives, this need to perform well has built and built and built based around what they believe is how they receive love and praise. And really, they built their identity around it. But they
right,
oftentimes end up burning out, right? And they may not even know it because they're always on. They're always on. I feel like they are comfortable in the chaos. So in your experience, how does burnout show up for our high achievers who feel like, no, this is just who I am. I'm a perfectionist.
yeah.
I want to do well. How do you see it showing up with them?
I think it takes some time for it to show up in individuals. I don't think they recognize it right away. And often I think that they feel like it's invisible and it's searing, like it's in the back. It's just that little fire is being poked at and prodded. And, the reason is because they're still so successful and they're still held accountable and they're still so productive. But on the inside, they're feeling tremendous guilt. They may feel flat. They may feel like disconnected with the community around them, with their partners, with their family. And the probably the biggest thing that I see them coming to me for first, and probably to you as well, is the exhaustion.
Hmm.
Suddenly there's just this boom. They just hit a flat surface and they are like, I can't move anymore. It's almost paralyzing. And
Hmm.
any sense of joy, any sense of I want something spirited, it's muted now. And then just everything is heavier, right? We're not in
Mm-hmm.
that depressive state yet, but
Mm-hmm.
we're getting into the things where things that you enjoyed before, even mountain biking, even exercising, even going to brunch with your girlfriends, no longer fits into your picture because it's not anything that you enjoy anymore.
Yeah. I think that with that person, I 100% agree with you. It's exhaustion. It's
Hmm.
almost like you said, a disconnection from the body that they never realized was slowly kind of, they're separating from themselves and their
Right.
needs. And, I'm interested to hear when they come in because of everything on social media about, you know, hormones and this and that. And yes, you and I know how stress can disrupt hormones, but what do you hear them come in thinking it is when they come to you?
Oh my gosh, everything. It could be hormones. It could be, I've heard everything on the gamut of, I'm seeing them on the psychiatry side, right? I'm seeing on the mental health side. So I might be getting a referral from whatever source from another specialist or a primary care physician, thinking that this is a true sudden depression and it might be a
Mm,
major depressive episode, or is this like anxiety? And what I like doing is I want a set of labs just to see
so
if
different.
there's anything else going on underlying, because I've always been, we've always been taught, yes, we're not treating necessarily all of the symptoms, but with mental health, there's a lot of incorporated overlapping issues. If you have
Hmm.
low vitamin D and you're deficient in that, that's going to show up as exhaustion and depression
Hmm.
potentially. If you've got other, abnormalities, including anemia, that's going
Hmm.
to show up as exhaustion, depression, just low energy, poor sleep,
Hmm.
etc. So it's ruling those things out. Now, when they're coming to me and they're saying, I feel like I'm depressed, I'm chronically exhausted, I can't sleep, etc., we're looking at things on that level with a different lens. If everything comes out normal, then I'm like, okay, then we need to go dig a little bit deeper. Now we're dialing into what is your day to day like? What
Hmm.
is your stress level like? What is your sleep like? What's your diet like? Because all of
Hmm.
these things intertwine. And if you're eating like, not great,
Right.
and you're not getting enough protein, and you're feeling like this is only hormonally based, well, no, not necessarily. It could be, but there's other factors that are involved. And if we find out it's hormone based, then I have plenty of referrals that we can work and collaborate with those particular providers to help them.
Yeah. I love that because, number one, the fact that you do labs ahead of time,
Oh,
I,
yes,
I think that's fantastic.
absolutely.
I was thinking of one of my clients who is postpartum, and she's just like, I'm just exhausted, Christina. I don't know why when I get up and like, carry her, I'm huffing and puffing. I feel like
Mm.
I've never worked out before. And when she left the hospital, nobody looked at her labs and she sent them over to me. And I said, obviously I'm not an MD, but I think you're anemic because just of
Oh,
she lost a lot of
right.
blood in pregnancy, and so we work with providers to support clients like that. And she was taking it out on herself, like she was out of shape.
Yeah.
Are you tired of wasting your money on diet and exercise program that leave you feeling pretty much the same? You're spinning your wheels, but the food noise is still there, the body dysmorphia, the overtraining and not seeing results, the emotional eating, it's all still there. But you don't think you have an option because they're pretty much all the same. What if the next program you invest in combines therapeutic practice with exercise and nutrition science and behavioral change? What if this program focuses on what you say in your mind so that you can have a better relationship on what you see in the mirror? Hi, I'm Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I'm the founder of the Mindset of Matter coaching program. Here, we see your mind, your body, and your identity as one integrated system and treat it as such. We focus on your self-defeating beliefs and understand how they impact your behaviors and thus the outcomes that you feel stuck in. We do this through the Mindset Method, my psychological curriculum that I've curated with over 15 years experience and adapted it to you, the average woman, and this coaching program. This is one method, one program, one coach, and let's face it, the one area you've probably never done the work on. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels and wasting your money, check out the link below for more information. And she needed to bounce back faster, and it was a simple lab test. I'm glad that you are able to do that. And then, as you had mentioned, going even deeper and being able to look at
Yes.
lifestyle, because, you know, I think when we're constantly in push mode, we're the, go-getters, we don't realize what's actually happening in our nervous system
Mhm.
and how that affects our bodies. So I'm wondering if you can touch on that for the person who's always go, go, go. What's
Mhm.
actually going on internally inside their bodies?
Their nervous system is in this constant and dragging survival mode.
Mm,
So that adrenaline that just keeps going and going and going. I'm tired. I can't slow down, right?
right.
And it's that like they think that, and social media tells you constant output means safety, right?
Hmm.
No, it's not. That's not it. And constant output means you're going to make it and you hustle harder and, work for 23 hours a day and you'll make it and you'll become a gajillionaire. No.
Right,
And,
exactly.
and
The
the
hustle
thing is,
culture.
the hustle culture, and it's been so much more predominant since social media has taken effect, like more so probably within the last 3 years,
Hmm.
I've seen probably. And I think that they think that when they slow down, that's not restoring themselves. It's not charging them. It's a failure. It's
Right.
threatening to them. And so what happens is they go into this chronic state of activation and it stays there. So it's
Hmm.
staying in this constant, I miss this, I miss that in that mode. And
Hmm.
it's about breaking out of that mode
Yeah.
and breaking out of that nervous system survival.
Mm. Yeah. Like you said, that rest feels like a threat, like a
Hmm.
failure to them.
Yeah, right.
It's, and I know in my experience, it's because like we've talked about earlier, is they've created this identity that I'm an achiever and
Yes,
that I will receive praise, I will be seen and heard only when achieving. So rest feels literally like an identity crisis for some
correct.
people. But I'm so happy you talked about the hustle culture because it's true.
Oh yeah.
And I think about this that we are the generation of women who are freely able to create and work and be who we want and also still receive and I don't have children but receive the stress of being good mothers and good partners. And
Yeah.
so it's not just, whereas with men, it's, hustle culture inside of business. But even then, these guys are, going on golf, leaving at 3 p.m. to go golf with their friends,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah. They're
come in
still
later.
fitting that in. Yes.
Right. But
Yeah.
and they only have the pressure, I shouldn't say only, I mean they have to obviously be good parents, but not as much as women. It's not put on them to work and hustle hard. Whereas now
Yeah.
we are also that. We're
Hmm.
also that on top of mothers, on top of
Yes.
daughters and wives. And it's it's a there's a such positives to it because like I said, we can create and be,
Mhm.
freely open our own businesses and do all these things, but we don't know where to stop.
And I'm guilty of that as well because anything that I've done and created, I was always like, I need more. I need to do more. I need to do better. I need to perfect it. I need to perfect it. And it it took me just opening up my practice and getting into the thought leadership and being on social media and really putting myself out there to really step back and say, I don't. No, I need my
Mhm.
rest days. Because if I don't put my oxygen mask on first, then my husband is not cared for. My children are not cared for. I'm not cared for. I
Absolutely.
need my rest. And I literally schedule that in sometimes. I have to put days or half days where it's like, okay, this event is going on. I'm leading this. I'm going here. I've got these days, that's clinical. I've got content days. I fit it into the calendar. I fit in exercise. I fit in certain things that are really important to me because it's what you're pouring your cup in, what you're pouring into your cup
Of
each
course.
and every day. And that's gonna be triaged, right? You're not gonna
Hmm.
have days where you're just gonna be in clinical practice and that's it. You still gotta address your emails, you still gotta do your admin
Hmm.
responsibilities, you still gotta go home and be the mother and be a good wife and or partner. And it's gonna teeter, and that's okay. And that's what I
Yeah.
think people don't understand because they're putting all this pressure on building one thing or one activity, and everything else is in that chronic state of I can't slow down because that's
Hmm.
threatening. No, you have to slow down.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that with
Yeah, we
business.
all are. We all are.
Yeah, for sure. And
It's always a
putting,
sprint for us, right? It
right,
was
we want it
always a
done now.
sprint.
Yeah,
I
we
want
want
to,
it done now
yeah,
and
yeah.
perfectly.
Yes, yeah. Let's take it into cross country mode. Cross country
Yes.
running.
I like it. I like it. No, and I think about when you were saying that, I think about when I would be on the couch with my husband, where I know that he really enjoys our time together after 6, basically, is when
Yeah,
he makes dinner, we sit down, we watch a show. Like that's just what we do at the end of the
yeah,
day. And he had mentioned to me, when you're on your computer during that time, like it's it hurts his feelings, and that he really wants me to this was a while back, but you'll put it away. And what you were saying about we go in like go mode around one area and then we put so much focus into that area, but something has to give, right? When we do
yeah,
that, it's
yeah.
either our relationships or our health,
Hmm.
and being able to create these areas of rest and transition, I think is important too. Kind of
Yes.
having those moments where I'm in work mode and I can transition into mom mode or, partner mode in my case, and just have that opportunity to shut the computer. It's kind of that meme,
Yeah.
shuts computer till Monday or slams
Yeah.
laptop till Monday.
Yes. Yes.
Having it's when I teach this to my clients that let's just take a moment in the car before we walk into the house. Even
Yes.
those small
Yep.
areas of rest, they can be so monumental in regards to what they're such small skills, or it's like it's such a short amount of time, but it creates such a great impact. So I'm
I
glad that you
agree.
brought that up.
Yes.
I always talk about, like you said, your cup as an account and like a bank account, and we're constantly withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing. And then when we withdraw, we're in the red. So we have to use credit, things that we do now that we have to pay for later.
Mhm.
So talk to me about the long-term effects of being chronically dysregulated, even though someone still feels like they've got their lives together
Oh, how many times do we see that, right?
all the time,
A
all the
lot, all the time.
time. Mhm.
So I think that I we've seen this so many a time, and I see it a lot because as an MD, I can again, like I can look into things a little bit more on the impact of the medical side and the medical
Mhm.
picture of maybe what's going on in the body and the physical terms.
Mhm.
So we know that over time, if you're chronically stressed, if you're chronically dysregulated, what does that do? It impinges and impacts on your immunity. So you might be
Mhm.
getting sick more. You'll see that your impact of, wow, I've gotten like 5 flus or colds this year. The
Mhm.
other years I did not. Whatever in
I
terms of
see that
that.
so often.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And I see that a lot, right? Because of the immunity side. Now, that shot in the physical body because your chronic cortisol levels being dysregulated and up and down and up and down and roller coaster is going to impact you physically. Not
Mhm.
to mention your hormones, not to mention your memory, your cognition, your mood, and your relationships. You hit the nail on the head as well. Friendships, relationships. I am the type of person that, whether my friends love it or not about me, especially in the last year, I have been really dialing in on certain other aspects, especially the DJing and the music is
Hmm.
medicine. So I book and schedule my happy hours or my dinners or my brunches with my friends only
Yeah.
because I still want to make that intention and I still want to hang out with you. I still love you. I still want to support you. But I can't be spontaneous. And it's
Hmm.
going to impact me and make me feel guilty when I have to say no to you time after time after time. When you ask me to a brunch the following, for the following morning and I can't go.
Right.
So you're going to see that guilt, the anxiety, the overlap of the depression, of burnout, sleep issues, cardiovascular heart issues,
Hmm.
autoimmune issues, which we're seeing a lot more
A
of
lot
with
more.
women
Hmm.
and really, like the book, the body is always keeping score. So we
Hmm.
have to know that and understand that mental health is so, so important for high performers and high achievers and getting that taken care of. Because when you're
Hmm.
not taking care of that, everything else that we just discussed can also just lower, reduce in quality, and that will impact you. And then you won't be able to hustle
Right.
at the end of the day.
Exactly. I
So,
do not think people understand how much stress and a dysregulated nervous system
mhm,
affects the body.
yes,
And others will tell you it's all of these other symptoms and give you medication and try to even things like cardiovascular health, digestive health, all the things that you talked about. You could go to an MD and they're like, "Oh, here's a statin or whatever that looks
yes,
like."
right,
But we're not, again, getting to the root cause, which is being chronically dysregulated and chronically stressed. I'm
right.
so glad you touched on that. It's funny, I'm actually completing an integrative health practitioner course, and that's all he
Oh,
talks about.
nice.
He
Yes,
that's all he talks
yeah.
about is how to de-stress the body.
Hmm.
I know we weren't going to go in this direction, but I just want to touch on autoimmune
Okay.
because I think the statistic was it was 3-1 men to women, what, 20 years ago, and now it's 36-1 or something like that. I don't know the exact stats. Is it the fact that, what we talked about earlier, that hustle culture and women being put in more of these or stressful environments, or maybe even our lack of boundaries in such environments? What do you think contributes to that?
You know, there's so much research still kind of like being just evaluating things a little bit more. My sense is this, as you and I are women, and we have grown up in a very different generation. Thankfully to our generations prior to us that allowed us to be where we're at today, where we have the freedom and independence to be in roles and C-suite roles and, dominate industries and be our own selves and brand our own selves. I think, though, that we also have to remember that our bodies are not necessarily meant to contain so much all at one time and
Mm,
multitask all at one time and give birth and be pregnant, give birth multiple times and
right.
be in relationships that might sometimes are toxic. Sometimes you have partners that are just not grounding you, not centering you, not supporting you. And we're seeing very different landscapes of all of this, not to mention the stress that does to the body and all
Hmm.
of this dysregulation that it's doing, what we're feeding ourselves lately in the last several decades, what we're putting into our bodies. Because when you pair hustle culture with diet, a lot of the hustle culture with diet is not healthy, right?
No,
We're eating lots of processed things, we're eating lots of ready-made things because to hustle, I can't have
meal prep.
that exactly the meal prep, the goodness, the whole raw foods or the whole cooked foods that our ancestors were making.
Yeah.
So I think there's many, many different layers of this and intentionally, what causes what is so hard sometimes in medicine because we have so many layers. Even when I'm thinking of mental health, epigenetics, biopsychosocial factors, there's so many things at play that we have to understand. Are we missing anything of this sort? And the stress levels that our ancestors also were bringing into the picture, and the wars that people were enduring generations ago, decades ago, all of these overlap. We have to understand that a
Absolutely.
lot of this is sitting in our genes too, at the end
Hmm.
of the day.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up. We don't realize that the it's like you said, the body keeps the score and not just our own score, the scores of those
Hmm.
before us.
Yes.
And, that concept of epigenetics is, yes, at a genetic level from, this intergenerational trauma that's been passed down to us. We kind of come out with this preconceived future or this idea of what we will be, and then we also have our environment, and you're right, there are so many variables to it that we can't pinpoint it, but I wanted to just touch on that because I feel like I'm seeing more of, the Hashimoto's and
Yes.
thyroid struggles and things like that. So let's talk about things that people can do because you blend, neuroscience with lifestyle. You've already talked about some things in regards to how you gather the information. So once you have the metrics on sleep or you understand the person's lifestyle and story, what are some of your favorite skills to teach people that are realistic, especially for the busy professional who, like you, might even have to schedule these things into their
Hmm.
calendar
Yeah.
and into their daily life?
You know, your nervous system ultimately is your ultimate foundation. That's your foundation of life. Because if your nervous system is going amok, then you're not going to be able to perform in any sense of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Professional, personal, whatever. And what I always knew and why I built my practice the way that I did was sometimes medication can help. I'm not going to say that psychotropics don't necessarily help. Of course they do with specific circumstances. And sometimes it will need to be long term because there is a severity to things. But on a broad scale, I can't address with one medication everything, right? Your sleep, your diet, your boundaries, your emotional processing, your movement, your physical exercise, your meaning in life. What spiritually grounds you? What grounds you universally to where you're at? And what do you want more of? What
Mm-hmm.
abundance can we create for you? And intentional setting of what direction you want to live your life, because when we pair experiential therapies to things, like I said about music, for example, even a fashion sense,
Mm-hmm.
being fashion forward, having that confidence when you're stepping into the room because your outfit is bomb and you
Yeah.
have that confidence, that's going to help you bring every single layer of your optimism to play. And you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be, in a better state of mind when you're like that, when you're feeling really good about yourself. So when when healing can happen when the biology and behavior are paired and they're working together. It's
Yes.
not one or the other, it's both. And it's in tandem. And I think in mental health specifically, we have to focus more and more on that.
Hmm. I agree. I mean, our slogan here is what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror.
Yes.
And not just what we physically see, but who we see ourselves as, right? As all the roles that we play. And I agree with you. I think from a mental health perspective, we've missed the mark when we're not incorporating in these lifestyle changes. And even one thing I hear from like the music and the fashion, I'm a dancer. When I danced, it was the most centered and connected
Yeah.
I have ever been, and
Yeah.
spiritual. There's a part of
Yes.
me, whether it's through clothing, I love music just like you, through dance, that is just almost on a different wavelength. I'm just at a different level and I'm connected to my higher self.
Yes.
And creativity is something that when we can connect people to, see them kind of step into who they are. And again, as mental health professionals, I don't think that I love that art therapy and dance therapy and expression and movement therapies are now more predominant, but I think that it's definitely something that we can tap even more into.
Yes.
I love being
Absolutely.
creative.
Yes. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I love it. So when it comes to the individual who's listening, they're like, yeah, that sounds great, but rest makes me feel. This was actually a quote from my last interview. She said, when I'm sitting, it feels like there's ants crawling all over me. And we were talking about
Mm,
ADHD for that individual who does struggle with rest, right? And
yeah.
and is wanting to heal. How do you reframe rest and recovery where it's no longer a weakness or failure like we talked about? So then we can create space internally to then do the behaviors you're talking about externally.
You know, I would, and this is what I do as well. I often have to reiterate and repeat myself about rest because here's the thing with our high achiever clients is that, like you were saying about your previous interview, that's what is embedded in our minds that rest means failure. Rest is not a W. Rest means you were intending to do something else and you've got 5 other thousand things on your mind. And I can't rest because I have ants crawling on me, because I have 350 emails still sitting in my inbox that I have to attend
Hmm.
to. What you have to reframe rest as is that it's more of an advantage and it's a strategy for them,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So, rest is when you integrate the most. Rest is where your decisions can be improved. Rest is where you solve things for
Hmm.
yourself, for your business, for your family. That's where you were talking about dance. And I love that because that's where I went into the DJing because music is medicine. Not maybe for everybody, but music is healing. Music is medicine. And not only that, it's healing for me. It's a
Yeah.
cognitive journey for me. It's helpful to have my creativity return so that I can be a better provider and I can impact people on a different level now, not just with clinical medicine, it's with this purpose. So when you rest, it comes to you, wow, creativity is returned. I love doing my art. I love doing my dance. I love listening. I love going to concerts and leaning into my music driven side. And then you see that you become more grounded. And when you become more grounded, you're a better leader. You're a
Right.
better human, right?
Right.
So you don't inspire people when you're burnt out and chronically micromanaging people and chronically
Hmm.
rah,
Yes.
being
Yes.
a scathing voice to your staff and your employees and your team. People that are nervous system regulated are the best leaders.
Hmm.
So that's what you have to lean into and keep repeating to your clients and to yourself.
Yeah, I love that reframe of rest being an advantage and a part of your
Hmm.
strategy. I want listeners to think about where do we get the most inspired thoughts? For me, shower, driving,
Yes.
right? Or also walking. But
Hmm.
for most people, it's in a space where we can't be on our computers and our phones.
Yeah.
Can't be on the computer and
Right.
phone in the shower, right?
Yep.
Can't do it while we're driving. I mean, even though our
Hmm.
cars are really trying hard for us to be
Yeah.
able to do
No.
that.
Turn it
My
off.
my car has YouTube, Zoom. I'm like, what is
No, I
happening here?
know. No.
But you know what I'm saying. And it's because we're kind of in that quiet space where
Yeah.
while yes, we're doing something, we're not we're not really focused on one thing, and we get our
Right.
most inspired thought there. I love that as a strategy. So I have two last questions for the woman
Okay.
who's running on fumes, right? Feels like she can't stop. What would be the first thing that you would want her to start doing, right? To just help her become aware that maybe this feeling I have inside, while comfortable, is not advantageous to who I'm trying to be, who I, the leader that I want to be. Because like you just said, when you can have a regulated nervous system, you're going to lead better. What's the first step she should take?
I think the probably the biggest step, but the hardest step is taking a moment and maybe 5, 10 minutes to themselves. And
Yes.
I ask that it's preferably in the morning. And I know it's so, so hard because you wake up, you're like hit the ground running for some of those mothers, especially getting the kids ready for school. But maybe set aside a little bit of time in your alarm clock and wake up a little bit earlier. Set it about 20 minutes, 25 minutes earlier so that you
Mhm.
have like a 10 minute reset before you have to hit the ground running. And
Mhm.
then I want them to take a moment to just breathe.
Yes.
Just breathe. And you don't need to get into like this, oh, you've got to throw some Calm or Headspace app on and join this journey and meditation because it's going to be hard in the beginning. And sometimes it takes people months to get to this state of mind. But take some time to just stop what you're doing. And before you're brushing your teeth, before you you're on your phone or any blue light or electronic,
Mhm.
take time to just stop and breathe and stop performing. And there's no fix right now. There's no optimizing. There's no strategy.
Right.
This is simply for them. And I want them to take that space. Over time, we build on that and we extend it out and we say, let's do a little bit of this now in the middle of your day and take
Mhm.
that journey of meditation or that breath or that stoppage time in your
Mhm.
car in between meetings before you're picking up your children. And if you need to pair it with music, great. If you need it in silence, that's fine too. I want to show them that pause doesn't mean that you're lazy, that you're
Mhm.
dysfunctional, right?
Right.
You're still going to go about your day. You're just taking some time to yourself to breathe, to understand yourself and where you're at, and have some sort of grounding and optimism for your day. Express some gratitude. We'll
Mhm.
fold that in over time. And then that's just the beginning. That's the beginning of regulation. And for people, they need to know that this matters more than they think
Right.
because we start folding in other strategies from there. And maybe the shower is where you reset. That's
Mhm.
that half hour or however long you're spending in there
Right.
of reset time in warmth. You spray your eucalyptus spray inside
Mhm.
and get into a state of mind where you're solving the complexities of your day.
Yeah, I love that. It is so simple and
Yes.
it is that transition into conscious life, right? Starting it in the
Yes.
morning, just transitioning your brain, your body, rather than this rude awakening of get up and go. What
Hmm.
is that going to do, right? If I had a drill sergeant yelling at me to wake up, I'm gonna be stressed from the get-go.
Oh,
That drill
absolutely.
sergeant sometimes is in our head. Whereas if I can kind of transition into my day to day, and that's going to be a lot of different experience throughout the day. I'm very thankful that you said that because I have a similar transition. So I'm like,
Good.
I'm doing good. Awesome. This has been so helpful. You're so easy to talk to. I think
Thank
that
you.
when people, and maybe it's this might be my own stuff because, obviously I've worked in this field for over 15 years and you have such a warmth to you that it feels very comfortable to talk to you.
Thank you.
And as a psychiatrist and a provider, I think that that is a skill that not everyone has. So I'm so thankful that you came on. Tell me about your somatic DJ event.
Yes. I am so excited about these.
Looks so cool.
They're so, so fun. They're so cool. I created these months ago and with really the guiding tool of I wanted to create an experience where individuals could feel like they could get that almost like that dopamine rush and get into a mindfulness state with EDM music. And I am looking, and I was reflecting back on my own journeys every time I've gone to an EDM festival or a rave or a concert in which I'm like solving problems based
Mm,
on the music and based on that journey. And it really is a beautiful state of mind. And how can I share this with the world in
hmm.
my own lens, how I want to do it? So I started these at a treatment center because I wanted
Really?
individuals to feel that same feeling without a psychedelic, without any
Hmm.
substance, because they were there at for a residential setting for substance use disorders or co-occurring disorders.
Hmm.
So they might have some level of trauma. They might have some level of a mood disorder, anxiety, also paired with substance use.
Hmm.
So I do these there with the intention of I can get you into that state of mind that you were really wishing for, but in a sober state. And by the way, we're going to intention set. We are going to build in grounding. We are going to build in this level of meditation that you have never experienced before. This is not a sound bath, not sound healing like any
Hmm.
other. It's a very different state of mind. And then branched out into a yoga studio that's local that has floor to ceiling LED screens on one side and mirrors on the other. So we're in like a sphere, like immersive
Hmm.
state. And so bringing that experience in to those patrons that join those, it is phenomenal. I do those every month on a Sunday so that we're like setting up your
Oh,
week
that's
for
nice.
right. And
Hmm.
the feedback that I've gotten has been exponentially good. Then I started these activations that are
Hmm.
dance. So taking you
Hmm.
on that mindful journey, more upbeat in nature. It's about movement, about community. I want oxytocin release. I want
Hmm.
serotonin. I want dopamine. We're in a great and joyous setting that's free, judgment free. It's sober. We had mocktails last night with our
Hmm.
vendor space. So again, getting into that state of mind, setting your intention, setting everything right for whatever is coming up for you in this like meditative journey with
Yeah,
EDM.
I love it. I'm going to Tomorrowland this summer, by the
Oh, I'm
way.
so excited for you. Oh, let's talk about that offline.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I
I'd
I
love,
just
love to join you for sure.
yes,
I
it's
will
a bucket
love to
list.
go. Yes. Oh,
It is a
yes, for
bucket
me, for
list.
sure.
But just again, to create a space for individuals to experience something that, like I talked about, to me is so precious and
Mhm.
valuable, moving my body through music. I mean, my dad passed away, it'll be 6 months in 3 days.
Oh,
And he
I'm
comes to
so
me in
sorry.
music. Yeah, but he comes to me in
Mhm.
music. And it's the craziest
Wow.
thing. It was, I'd be in an Uber and they'll be playing an EDM version of My Girl. That was our song. And then this weekend, the DJ starts his set with his version of My Girl. Like it's crazy. So
Oh,
he comes to me
wow.
in
I
that
love
particular
that.
song. And just music is so it's such an important thing in my life, and I just love that you're
Same.
doing that. So for those of you listening, I want them to know where they can find you, when your
Hmm.
next event is. A lot of our listeners are in the Phoenix Scottsdale area or come visit
Yeah.
here because obviously it's beautiful. So where can people find you, and then when is the next event?
My website is monaaminiMD.com. My Instagram is probably the biggest social media platform. You're going to see a lot of me. That's my
Hmm.
multifaceted Dr. Mona, and
Yeah.
that's mona.amini.md. I have several events coming up, in fact. So I just finished an event. That's the activation. We did a sunset and evening activation last night.
Beautiful.
It was phenomenal. We had such fun. My next one will be a collaboration with Yoga with April at the
Mm.
Deuce, actually in downtown
Oh,
Phoenix
fun.
on February 15th. And that is more of like bring your partners, bring your gals, like Galentine's Day type of vibe. There's yoga in the morning. It's a whole event day from 10 to 3. There's different vendors. We've got mocktails and brunch at the Deuce if they want to join. I'm doing a sonic immersion there from 12 to 1 in their Black Orchid room. And then we have another fun activation at the rooftop at the Deuce on March 8th. And that is a collaboration with the Deuce, Melrose Market, and myself.
Amazing.
So that's more of that upbeat dance vibe. So
Hmm.
some fun
I
stuff.
love the Deuce. I wanted to get married there.
Oh my gosh, really? In the
Yes, I thought it would
boxing
be,
ring or
yeah,
where?
I thought it'd be the coolest little spot to get married at, but we ended
Oh,
up doing a
cool.
private home. I
Nice.
love this. And we'll put everything in the show notes for the listeners, for those of you
Okay.
who are local or might be in town. I highly, highly recommend that you go to one of these events. I definitely will be attending. Yesterday, I received your email and I was like, this looks so cool, but it was my birthday weekend. My mom,
Oh
we
yeah.
had we had family time. But yes, thank you so much. Again, you guys check out the show notes for, make sure you give Dr. Mona a follow, and if you can, come see her. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you're following on YouTube, or follow us wherever you're listening to this podcast. Again, if you love this information, if you know that high achiever, or maybe you're in a mentorship group or business group, share this podcast. This will be very beneficial to the other women in your lives. And if you're absolutely feeling great, we'd love a 5-star rating and review. But other than that, I'm going to send you on your way, reminding you that what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. Bye bye.